everyone, my name is Vina, aka Miss WOCReader, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the online book community, specifically the Black online book community, because I really don't be paying attention to the white one much anymore. Like, I will watch Izzy's Romance Landia monthly videos, and I'll be like, wow, that's crazy, white people be wildin', and then be on my merry way, because honestly, I work with majority white people in my office now, so I get enough white people at work. Not really trying to get them on social too. Plus, we don't really read the same books. I don't read a lot of white books. If I read a year, it's a good year. So I have my white book friends that I talk to. When I'm interested in a white book, I'll pick up a white book. But I don't follow a lot of white creators or authors or care to see what they're doing, because it's like, we're not running in the same circles. However, you're inevitably, when you're scrolling bookish socials, you're going to see some of the drama. And of course, Black people, we gotta stick our nose into stuff sometimes that ain't our business. So I do see some of my Black mutuals posting about white drama from time to time. I am past the point of arguing with people to read diversely. In fact, I never actually ever came on here trying to convince white people to read diversely. That's just not my job. I did come on here trying to convince Black readers to read more Black books. Because here's the thing, when I decided to really just fully dive into the online book community, it wasn't until 2019. I had started a book blog in 2015. I'm like, I'm going to be a blogger and I'm going to get all these books, because I saw people on Goodreads talking about NetGalley and stuff and reviewing through blogs. Then your girl wrote like two blog posts and was like, nah, and I dipped. Around that same time, I think I started a new job too. And I was still reading, I just wasn't reading all the time. I was reading a couple books a year. Like, it is crazy how much my reading changed from 2019 to 2020, and I just don't know what my trajectory would even be like had we not had the pandemic and lockdown, and me actually getting like on BookTube and seeing what everybody on here was doing, because I needed an escape from work. When I started doing my book blogging a little bit more serious in 2019, the first people I found were Black romance readers, and they were pretty cool because I wasn't seeing a lot of Black book creators at first who were actually focused on Black books. The ones that people would recommend to me would be talking about majority white YA books, which I wasn't interested in. Even like my window of time when I was reading white YA ended when I was a teenager. I was reading some contemporary ones. By the time we started getting into the dystopian craze and the paranormal romance craze, I was like, I'm out. So taste, very different. But when 2020 hit, I was able to find my people. I got a big boost on book Twitter at the time because I was frustrated. There were so many different Black books that I was screaming about, and everybody was saying read Black books, but they weren't recommending any of these books. So I had just done like a long thread of all these different Black books I wanted people to check out, and it resulted in a lot of sales for those authors, and it resulted in a lot of people taking my recs, although some people didn't credit, but that's a whole different story. But it also resulted in me finding more of my people, which was a beautiful thing. I found this space at a time when I really needed it. When I finally decided to take the plunge and create a BookTube channel, which I never thought I'd be online talking about books face to face like this, it was like an interesting transitional period. At the time that I created my channel, I did not know that my dad was going to go completely downhill in his health journey. So BookTube really provided a space where I could connect with people who were going through a lot of the same things that I was, and make great friends at the time. Like, between here and Book Twitter, I met so many great people who just helped me get through it. And I read a lot of great books too. I really got to expand my taste because 2020 and 21, I was really finding new Black books. I was trying to try different genres that I didn't normally read. And I have a good sense of my reading taste now. I think for me, the majority of my reads tend to lean more fantasy and romance with a splash of women's fiction. And then sometimes I'll read a little thriller here and there. I'll read a little mystery here and there. I might read a horror here and there. But I am pretty consistent as to the types of books that I personally enjoy. And I feel like even just a few years ago, prior to like the big rise of book talk, there was still a bit of a separation between authors and book influencers. Like, yes, we were all occupying book Twitter, but we were somewhat in our own bubbles where we weren't constantly interacting. Not in the way that people are interacting on Threads. On Threads, I feel like a lot of the authors I see on there all the time are acting like book influencers. They are posting whatever is going to get them seen. They do a lot more yapping than they do actually promoting their books. And they tend to be up in a lot of drama, even when it has nothing to do with them. Like on book Twitter, when it was really popping, you wouldn't have authors coming on for the most part and just like subbing or screenshotting people's opinions on books, even that books that aren't even theirs, to get that person dogpiled on, because they would get a lot of backlash for that. However, I'm seeing that more common on book Threads. Like, people can post their bookish opinion. They don't even have to tag an author, but a bunch of authors will jump on them and attack them just for having an opinion. We always had the authors who would complain about people doing their worst of book lists at the end of the year and their DNF list, but it's just gotten worse because this past year, I saw like the entirety of Christmas week. It was just post after post after post from Shades and Vegas calls them the book bailiffs, and I think that's the perfect way to describe it. They were trying to tell people that they cannot post their DNFs because it's mean and the authors could see them because some authors follow them. As somebody who is trying to be an author herself, like I have a book written, I've been editing it, the plan is to query. I know that I am going to get a lot of critiques and not everybody is going to love my book, and I'm bracing myself for that. Like, even on this channel alone, you don't know how, like, sometimes I just be ready to be like, F you, and go about my way at some of these comments. Sometimes I have to take a deep breath, and I have to try and come up with a rational comment to respond back. Other times I'm just like, you know what, let me delete for my mental health. I'll just delete that comment. Other times I'm like, you know what, did I ask for your opinion? No. You really do have to kind of curate your space. And as I say, my space is a safe space for everybody. But also, if nobody tagged you, you need to just keep it pushing. Readers are allowed to have their opinion. And I think right now, toxic positivity has reached an all-time high because you have all these newer book influencers who came into the space after 2021. And they're starry-eyed and wide-eyed and they found their people and they really just want to be book famous. Like, they want the notoriety of an author without actually being an author. I see them all the time talking about, I want to go on brand trips. We don't really do brand trips in the bookish space. Like, yeah, you have shelves in the city, do a couple events here and there, but brand trips are not really a thing. But that's the type of notoriety that people are striving to in this world where life sucks and people just want to do things that bring them joy, but also monetize their hobbies. So you have people coming into this space, they want the fame, they want the attention, they want the perks, and they're telling you, well, you can't write a negative review. I won't write a review that's under 4 stars because it's mean. And they put a lot more like emphasis on the weight of their review than their review is actually worth. Your less than 4 star review 90% of the time is not going to make or break a Black author's book. And I don't know why people have convinced themselves that, and they convince themselves if they just lie and they keep it neutral and they keep their page 100% positive, that it's going to get them all the opportunities, and that's not necessarily true either. You can be a critical reviewer and also get moderating opportunities at an event. You can be a critical reviewer and also get opportunities to interview authors, get arcs from publishers. I know because I do it all the time. In fact, when I was at my most critical when it came to reviewing, because right now I'm in a space where I don't review as harshly, only because a lot of books fall in the 3 star. I'm not passionate enough about them at this point, kind of space where I don't have a lot to say about them to be super critical. But when I was at my most critical, and I was just like really pointing out the issues with some of these books, I had more authors reach out to me than ever wanting me to review their stuff, because like for them, oh my gosh, she loved my book was like a sense of pride for them because they knew how harsh I was. So you don't have to lie, and books are meant to be discussed. Like if you go back and look at the greatest authors of our time, there were other authors who were very vocal about not liking their work, about disagreeing with certain stuff, and they definitely had their fair share of critical reviewers. I see authors all the time say they want their book studied at colleges. You know them college kids are going to rip your book up. Like, we should be fostering different types of discussion, and everybody doesn't have to be on the same page when it comes to books. But also the way in which books are rushed now, and the way in which they are so sanitized now, and the way in which they're so formulaic, you're going to get a lot more critique. Somebody said it best, books are not that good right now to think they are above criticism. And they really aren't. Like, I will see a lot of authors share the sentiment that, oh, I don't need reader feedback. Reviews mean nothing to me. I get my review from my editor. Your editor is lying to you. Your editor wants to read what they want to read. They are not giving you the same type of feedback that a book reviewer would. And I'm not saying that they need to go and seek out book reviews. Not at all. But I truly believe there should be somebody who can go through the reviews for them, see what the commonalities are, and relay that to them so that they can improve on their work. Because you just submitting to just your editor is not going to help you grow as an author. You need to kind of know where you went wrong. So you need that unbiased feedback. Your editor and agent who you've been working with for 6 years have bias. And again, the quality of books has really gone downhill. So there's stuff that is being published now that is basically a second draft. Like, the author proposed it to the publisher, they wrote it, it got one round of edits, and then it went to pass pages. It's really not as in-depth as people think. And previously there was a lot of back and forth with people who were like, I can't read indie because it's just so bad, it's terribly edited, it's nothing like trad. But now they're more on an equal playing field, especially since so many books are coming straight from indie and being republished with little edits to trad. And you have a lot of authors writing just like indie authors so they can try and get those big deals. And so seeing the craziness where you have people telling you you can't write a negative review because it's mean, and you cannot talk about your DNFs is so weird to me. We are literally in this space to talk about the books we like, but also talk about the books we hate, to talk about the books that we feel need improvement. And to be honest, just keeping quiet and not saying nothing about a book it's actually worse, because I see a lot of people who will say that. They'll just be like, well, if it's under 4 stars, I'm just not going to say anything about the book. Okay, but you have a big platform. So you're not saying anything about the book at all. It's not getting people interested who follow you in picking up the book either. With your big platform, you could really be helping increase that author's sales simply by mentioning the things you liked or disliked, because something that you dislike might be something that somebody else really likes. So seeing you be passionate about this book is going to help them decide if they want to read the book, versus just like the standard nonchalance, like you're just posting a synopsis. Because anybody can post a synopsis and you see it, oh, they didn't really say anything, you scroll, you keep on going. A lot of the really big white books that we see, like especially in the past couple of years, there has been a lot of back and forth about them. You have the people who absolutely adore them, but then you have the people who for days were ranting about them. And then people see other people ranting about them and they want to be included in the conversation, so they will go ahead and read the book so that they can join the conversation. So it creates this feeling of FOMO where it's like, okay, now I have to read it because I want to be informed and I want to be able to join the conversation too. We don't see that a lot with Black books. And then when we do see it, it's on a rare exception basis, and you have people who decide, well, we all collectively don't like this author, it's okay to dump on them, it's okay to basically review bomb them, it's okay to do this, it's okay to do that because I don't like that author. But when it's an author that people adore, there's this like shield of protection around them where nobody is allowed to have an opinion, and it's really weird. I think it's just a lot of people do need to take a chill pill, especially recently. There was a whole controversy on Threads where I guess an author threatened to, pew pew somebody over book boxes, because there are a lot of indie authors who are taking on more than they can chew and doing these book boxes, and then they get delayed and they get delayed and they get delayed, and they're not giving proper updates to people while holding on to their money, which is deplorable. I find there's a lot of scamminess in the community that we're really not talking about. Like, I noticed it a couple of years ago when a lot of people were doing bookstore scams. And you're like, what do you mean bookstore scam? I mean that people were doing GoFundMes for bookstores, and then that money was not going into improving those bookstores. I'm not calling out any particular bookstores in this video because I would actually have to go look at all the names, but I saw it quite a few times. So it was definitely a thing, and those bookstores know who they are. I've seen a lot of GoFundMe scamming in general, people who really don't need GoFundMe money, but they're constantly asking for aid. And I'm like, weren't you just begging last month? Like, what is going on here? And they want to be vague about why they need the money and stuff like that. And kind of prey on people's generosity, because in the book community, people figure, oh my gosh, they love to shout about books. Like, books are almost seen as a form of activism here, and it's very weird. So it's very easy for people to fall in line with those scams, because they're just like, well, this person does a lot by shouting out these books and making a space for these books, so I want to give money to them. And again, we treat books very differently than other hobbies. Most people won't say that fictional TV show saved my life, but people constantly say that book saved my life. And I'm like, at the end of the day, that book is a form of entertainment. You pay your money for it, you read it, you enjoy it, you move on. I feel like we put too much stock into books because there's this idea that reading is this more elevated hobby compared to video games, or compared to watching TV, or compared to a bunch of other things. And I'm like, at the end of the day, most of us are just reading for fun. It's not as deep as you're trying to make it. Even when we have the conversation about books being political, everybody's book is not necessarily political. Some people's politics are a little screwed up, and that is coming through in books. But at the end of the day, you make your own decisions. It is down to the person. And there's so much going on in the world when it comes to politics. I see a lot of people thinking that everybody should be on the same page of, we're all watching US politics and we should all be speaking out, we should all be doing this. And I'm not gonna lie, like in the past I would get angry when I'd see people just like doing their own thing and never posting anything besides books. And you know what I did? I just unfollowed those people. Because stuff would be happening in their particular country and they still wouldn't be saying anything. I just started unfollowing those people and following people who more aligned with my tastes and just worrying about that. Because what I realized too is a lot of people are reading diversely, but they still don't really connect to the groups that they're reading about. Like they will pick up a book by an Asian author and still not understand anything about Asian culture dynamics. So it's like that book taught them nothing. And a book can only teach you so much. It's really interacting with the people in your regular life that is going to teach you so much more. And a lot of people aren't taking that necessary extra step. I don't expect people to be constantly speaking out because you never know what other people are going through. I remember October of 2023, nothing but death was on my timeline all the time with Gaza. I wasn't speaking out about that because my dad had just passed, so I was literally more focused on me and my feelings and crying every day as I had been for like 6 months. And I was not focused on constantly reposting stuff because I just did not have the bandwidth. And you don't know what people are going through to expect them to make posts. And some of us have been talking. I've seen people saying, how could you not be talking about what's going on with ICE right now? It's been going on for years. This is not a new thing. The same with the Venezuela. I have been reading stuff about Venezuela in the news on a consistent basis since 2018 actually, because my family is in Trinidad and my family is in Guyana, where they are directly affected by this because so many Venezuelan migrants have moved into those countries and are in their communities, or these are people that they're working alongside. I have friends who are Venezuelan and have family members that they've been helping out. So like, I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. I don't need to wave around a stack of books you should read by Venezuelan authors to prove that this is something that I care about. People can do charity work on the ground. Now, do I feel like when you have a big platform, you should share resources when you can, you should speak up from time to time? Yes, I do. But at the same time, you cannot force people to post certain things. And I feel like we have just gotten so far off track, I think, recently when it comes to that. And people are worried about the wrong thing. And to be honest, at the end of the day, these are just books. I see people get way too hyped about what is just books. You should be able to post about your little books, kiki with some friends, and log off. Go live life. I feel like not enough people are living life outside of the online book space. And again, speaking from experience, because there was a time when I was like very, very much into the online book space all the time. I was like working from home but not leaving home, so I was like in it all the time. And that you get caught up, and it's very easy to forget that there are other things going on outside of this itty-bitty bubble. So that's just my 2 cents. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. If you like this video, make sure and hit that like button. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!